Internet? Today I'm going to talk about Mafia: The Old Country. I've been a fan of the Mafia franchise since the original game released in 2002. At the time, the depth of the characters made me invested in them in a way I'd never been in another game. Other great games of that era, Half-Life, Halo Combat Evolved, Grand Theft Auto 3, or No One Lives Forever 2 didn't do that. These games focused on environmental puzzles, action, irony, or comedy. Mafia: The City of Lost Heaven took itself seriously. The characters sold you on how the stakes for your missions would affect your character and his friends. That game and its sequel that released in 2010 are written like movies that were adapted to a video game. Before I go any further, I do recommend that you play the Mafia remake from 2020 if you like playing shooter-type games. The latest installment, Mafia: The Old Country, came out a couple of months ago in August. I played through the game on release day and the following day. The more of the game I saw, the more I had to get out of my system. Everything good about the game is really good. The Old Country is set between 1904 and 1907. As a period piece, it makes you feel like you are in the time and place. There is electricity in the setting, but it's not used for much more than lighting in homes. A factory runs off steam power more than electric power. One background voice line mentions that only one of the richest homes has the luxury of running water. Getting around by horse feels fun. The cars feel clunky like they would be. The environments are magnificent. The pistols aren't as streamlined or as powerful as the ones you use in games set in later years. The characters are great, the story is great. But there were things all along that kept me from loving this game. That the aforementioned parts of this game are so good is proof that these aren't just nitpicks or problems I can glaze over. My biggest gripe is how we acquire currency for the system of buying upgrades. The game provides starter knives, pistols, long guns, horses, cars, and you can buy better versions of them with the currency you mainly get from looting enemies you defeated. The shop also has more outfits than you'll ever be able to buy. It takes a couple seconds to loot a body. Just walk up to it and hit a key to do a loot animation and get your reward. When there are dozens of bodies to search, it takes you out of the moment, especially if your allies are waiting for you before you go to the next area or you're helping to fight your way out of trouble. You can get ammo and health items from the bodies though, so you feel like you're sabotaging yourself if you skip looting. The game puts the player in a situation where you are making a choice to stay in the flow of the game or suspend your immersion so you can progress toward that next upgrade. A game that does this better is Splinter Cell Blacklist. There, you also get rewarded for taking down bad guys while you play through the game. In Sam's HQ, there's a shop where he can buy better suits for stealth or combat, weapons, and equipment upgrades. Sam never loots a body for the dollars he needs though. In Blacklist, you score points for each takedown. You get paid when the level ends based on how well you played the level. A similar system where you get rewarded at the end of the level, a bonus for each headshot made or a stealth takedown, while subtracting points for each time you were hit or had to restart from a checkpoint. This doesn't have to pop up on a score screen where you receive a ranking of S to D. Put in a scene where your boss congratulates you and hands you an envelope stuffed with cash to make it feel like a part of the game. And instead of interacting with every body to loot it, just let us walk over them to collect ammo and health drops. Players don't complain so much about immersion breaking when a feature provides convenience. My advice to players is to skip the looting if you can. If I had realized this while I was playing, I might have had a better time. You'll enjoy the game much more if you just play the game. Imagine that. The next mechanic I had an issue with is referred to in-game as Enzo's Instinct. If you've played a game from the Batman Arkham series, then you're familiar with a similar mechanic. It gives you the ability to see through walls to detect enemies. This was probably thrown in so that players who wanted to experience the story could make the game a bit easier. But why does our character have access to a skill like this? There's no justification in the game for why we're able to do this. We just can. This annoyed me immediately and I stopped using it early on. I played through the game on hard mode, and I think the developers should have disabled the ability at that difficulty setting. Then there's the save game system. Did I say the save system? I'm sorry, my mistake. I can't complain about the save system because the game doesn't have one. That's right, the game doesn't let the player save. It uses a checkpoint system as you're playing. There's a chapter replay from the main menu that unlocks once you've completed a chapter. This is how games in the series have been since the original. It's 2025 though, and they should let us have a dozen save spaces. I was trying to backtrack in one level to hunt for one of the collectibles. More on those later. I failed the mission for leaving the mission area. The checkpoint saved after I passed the area the item was in. I had to replay the mission from the beginning, and it took another 45 minutes to grab the thing I was after. I found this issue when I was recording footage for this video. I don't want to go into the technical reasons of why this happened, but it's inexcusable. The more I play this game, the more I find wrong with it. Then there are several smaller details I noticed as I played. In one stage, you can stealth through most of the mission. Once you reach a certain point, a scripted gunfight begins, even if you had been undetected all along. There's no indication they spotted you, so the devs are just forcing you into a gunfight. They could have had you running through an area without cover, and a lookout was there to spot you and call out to his allies. This would have felt a lot better. Next is how you interact with the game world. You have to talk to NPCs dozens of times through the game. I had trouble about half the time finding the right direction to face so I could interact and start the conversation. If you were at just the right angle or were too far or too close, the option to interact would not show up. This extends to interacting with the environment. I tried to open doors and no interact indicator would pop up. I turned my character and still got nothing. I had to walk away and approach the door again to find just the right spot to stand to open the door. This game has so many collectibles that it feels like an Ubisoft collectathon. Many of these are locked in mission areas, which will require you to play for about an hour to get one item when grabbing another takes 5 minutes. You could get those items in missions, but then you're making a choice to play the game or go aside and hunt for treasure, often during tense plot turns. There are cacti around the game world. The player can just run through them without any damage or reaction. Having something irritate me every few minutes kept telling me that this wasn't the polished experience I wanted. I mentioned at the beginning that the Mafia games are focused on the characters. In 2025, as opposed to 2002, that's not so rare anymore. What set it apart in the past doesn't make it stand out now. The game is a third-person cover shooter, and that's stale and unimaginative. It does offer a couple nice features, immersing us in a period and location while experiencing life as part of an organized crime family. I'm not sure if that is enough to sustain the franchise in the future. Mafia 3 tried to change the formula. While I'm glad they tried, fans were divided and it wasn't implemented well. The DLC for Mafia 3 was the best part of that game, and it was structured more like its predecessors. We do get a sequel hook at the end of the Old Country. If 2K keeps the franchise going, I hope they can make better decisions on how they implement their game mechanics next time while avoiding the same mistakes. Thanks for watching.